The narrow dirt trail wound upward, disappearing into the dense green wall of the valley. Alex and Ben moved in rhythm, their boots crunching against layers of dry, brittle leaves. Above them, the canopy locked together, a thick, emerald ceiling that strangled the sunlight and left the path in perpetual twilight. They were miles from the nearest cabin, deep in the heart of the wilderness. Alex stopped, wiped sweat from his forehead, and gestured toward a distant, jagged ridge. He laughed, the sound sharp against the stillness, and launched into a story from their college days. He mimicked a professor's stutter, his hands carving shapes in the air. Ben chuckled, shaking his head as he stepped over a protruding root. He scanned the dense thicket to their left, his eyes catching the flicker of movement in the brush. But he turned back to Alex, caught up in the shared memory. They were miles deep now, the air growing cooler, the trees pressing closer with every step. The trail narrowed until they were walking single file, the sound of their breathing syncing with the steady pace of their climb. They moved deeper into the valley, unaware that the trail was ending. Alex was mid-sentence, his laughter echoing off the dense trunks, when the forest simply stopped. The rhythmic chirping of birds, which had been the constant background hum of their hike, cut out instantly. It was not a gradual fade, but a hard, absolute silence that dropped over the valley like a heavy shroud. Alex froze, his smile faltering as he looked at Ben. Ben had already stopped walking. His head was tilted, eyes narrowed as he scanned the thicket to their left. The air felt suddenly thin, charged with a static pressure. Then, the silence broke. A low, guttural growl vibrated through the ground, followed by the sharp, violent snap of a thick branch. Ferns parted with a wet, tearing noise. A massive brown bear pushed through the undergrowth, its fur matted with mud and pine needles. It rose onto its hind legs, towering over them, and unleashed a roar that shook the surrounding trees. The roar hit them like a physical blow. Alex did not look back. He did not call out. He lunged for the nearest oak, his fingers clawing at the rough, gray bark. He hauled himself upward, boots scraping against the trunk, finding purchase on a low-hanging limb. He scrambled higher, branch by branch, his movements frantic and desperate. Within seconds, he was lost in the dense canopy, hidden by the thick leaves. Below, the forest floor felt suddenly, terrifyingly empty. Ben stood frozen, his eyes locked on the massive shape looming above him. He heard the rustle of leaves as Alex vanished into the heights. He was alone. The bear dropped to all fours, the ground shuddering under its weight. Ben remembered the old woodsman's warning, a ghost of advice from a safer time. If a bear approaches, play dead. He did not think. He dropped to the dirt, his knees hitting the cold earth hard. He curled into a tight ball, his chest pressed against the soil, shielding his neck with his hands. The sound of heavy, wet breathing filled his ears, rhythmic and ragged. The bear loomed directly over him, a mountain of muscle and fur. Its hot, musky breath washed over his face, thick with the scent of damp earth and rot. Ben squeezed his eyes shut, his muscles locked in a rigid, unnatural posture. He felt the ground shift as the beast leaned closer. A massive, wet nose nudged his shoulder, pressing firmly into his back, then slid upward to his ear. He held his breath, his lungs burning, as the rough, sandpaper texture of the bear's tongue rasped against his cheek. Every nerve ending in his body screamed for him to move, to roll away, to run. But he remained frozen, his heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird, a frantic rhythm that felt loud enough to give him away. The bear lingered, sniffing his hair in the back of his neck, searching for the slightest tremor of life. Seconds stretched into an eternity of suffocating proximity. Then, with a loud, dismissive snort, the creature finally turned away. Its heavy paws thudded against the ground, moving with deliberate, crushing weight as it retreated into the deep shadows of the woods. Minutes ticked by in the absolute stillness. Only when the forest sounds resumed did Ben dare to move. He uncurled his stiff limbs, his skin caked in layers of dark soil. High above, the branches shifted. Alex slid down the trunk, his movements jerky and uncoordinated. He landed on the path, his face drained of color, his hands shaking violently as he reached out. He stumbled toward Ben, his voice cracking with a forced, nervous laugh. "That was close," Alex stammered, eyes darting toward the shadows. "What did the bear whisper in your ear?" Ben stood up, his movements slow and deliberate. He spoke in a cold, steady tone. "He told me, never travel with a friend who runs away when you need him most."